Alright, here we go. There it is, the Weber Genesis C-35E. It barely fit in my SUV, but here I am. I'm going to unbox it now. So before we get started, I need to share with you, I'm not going to be able to move this by myself, and my wife just had surgery, so she can't help me either. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear this out in place, remove all the parts, and then move all the parts to my back patio, and then assemble it in place where it's going to be. Whether that happens today or not, I'm not sure because it's super hot. But here it is. So I started to unbox in the car itself, which I don't recommend. That was very heavy. Comes with the Costco version comes with a free cover. It's a nice Weber cover. Would cost $100 if you bought it at Home Depot or anywhere else. Something I forgot to mention, there were parts inside the firebox and hood that made it heavier. Recommend, if you have the ability, to open up the box not enclosed in an SUV where you can't lift the hood to see what's inside. So it was heavier than it needed to be because it had a bunch of parts inside. You'll notice that I have an iPad out there. I was intending to use the built app for instructions as well, but the iPad quickly overheated in that. Outside is probably 85 degrees or so. Turns out the instruction manual that it came with was just fine for putting it together. Initially, what took me the longest to find was the little part that I'm putting in right now. And I had to look through just about every box to find it. That was actually the part that took me the longest to find. Otherwise, setup is really straightforward. It took me a while, but that's because I like to read the instructions and I'm pretty thorough. Except for one mistake that I make later, which I'll tell you. You'll notice I switched to moving the stand on the patio instead of on the grass. I don't recommend installing on grass. That was a little bit tricky. And the only reason why I started on grass was because I had shade there. Only tools that are needed are screwdriver, which I have a little electric screwdriver / drill. And it comes with a little right-angled screwdriver as well. There's one step where you need it's a really tight space, and so you need to use the screwdriver they give you, or you need to have already had a right-angled screwdriver. There's also a wrench it comes with, which I do believe I used. Okay, I got it standing up now, so making some good progress. The box that I'm putting on now is not so heavy, so this is really a job you can do yourself or with one person. The whole grill itself is quite heavy, but each part is manageable if you're able-bodied. All this is pretty straightforward. I'll point out the mistake I made in just a little bit. Here I'm just probably trying to set up the propane hose, kind of attach it to the side. There's also another electronic piece that attaches that funnels the power, the ignition power from the battery
to all the wires that connect each burner so it sparks. Here I'm just organizing all the wires with the included brackets, making sure it's nice and neat, and then routing it through a little plastic piece that attaches to the edge of the frame. This part was a little tricky, actually. You have to install these 2 bolts on each side and then hang the shelf off the bolts. The problem is that there's a little U-bracket that goes inside of each bolt, and in all 4 bolts that I installed, 2 on each side, I managed to over screw in the bolts, and so I couldn't fit the U-bracket right in between the bolt and the side of the shelf. So you really just need to screw in the bolt just a little bit, just until it starts getting threaded, and then you can slide that U-bracket right in underneath. That piece I installed incorrectly, but I flipped it around. And here's the other side. Works the same. There's U-brackets that sit in between. You can see a little dent actually on the side of the shelf. There's probably 2 dents that I could notice that it came with. Doesn't bother me, so if it bothers you, just know that you might get a couple of little cosmetic dings here and there. Now, this is the piece I messed up on. This front panel attaches with 2 screws on the bottom, and you can see me, I'm often wiggling the top because it's loose. I can't figure out why it's loose. I'm thinking that at some point it's going to give me instructions to install some other screws, or maybe there's some bracket that I have to attach, or maybe it's the knobs themselves that keep it stable. But it turns out I needed to have hooked it on the top to the frame, and I didn't do that. And so later, it's not recorded, but later I take it off and hook it and then redo the screws. Those screws, by the way, are the ones that require that right angled screwdriver, a tool that it comes with. This part's easy. Putting in the little burner covers, the grates, a little warming grate as well. This is kind of the fun stuff. It's about done. There's some shelving to install. The doors went on pretty easy, by the way. Alright, so here we are all finished up. I'm going to test it out for the first time just by plugging in the propane tank and giving it a whirl. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Oh, I just heard it. That's fire. Nice. That one's on. Three burners on. All right, let's get the sear burner going. Sear burner on. Test the side burner. Side burner works. We are cooking. Beautiful. Oh, this is so fun. Yay!